Hello, everyone. Welcome to our summer reading live stream. My name is Lydia. I will be your host today, and I am so excited to have all of you here with us. This summer's reading program is happening both online and in person, which means that fun events just like this one today will be happening all summer long. But in order to participate in all of the fun, there are just three things that you need to do first. Number one, you need to get yourself signed up for a library card, which you can do by visiting your local library branch or by visiting ocls.info/getyourcard. The second thing you need to do is to sign up for a Beanstack account, which you can do by visiting ocls.beanstack.org. And lastly, you need to register for lots of fun events just like the one we're having today, which you can do by visiting ocls.info/events. This summer, we are challenging everybody to read for at least 20 minutes a day and to track that reading using the Beanstack app or using a paper tracker, which you can pick up at your local branch. Once you read for 300 minutes, you will be eligible to win a goodie bag while supplies last. And once you read 600 minutes before July 23rd, you will be entered in to win the grand prize, a grand prize at the end of the summer. So, to find out more information about our summer reading program, to see our events calendar, and to see some fun book recommendations, please go to ocls.info/SRP. Okay, the time has come. What everybody is here for today, which is our exciting guest, the Turtle Hospital. The Turtle Hospital is a fully functioning veterinary hospital for sea turtles. Dedicated team members rescue, rehabilitate, and eventually release sea turtles in the Florida Keys. And today we are going to hear from one of those dedicated team members. So, everybody, let's give a big round of applause and let's get ready to explore with Chrissy from the Sea Turtle Hospital.
Hello, welcome to the Turtle Hospital where we rescue, rehabilitate, and release sea turtles back to the wild. So I'm going to give you a little insight about the species of turtles we have here, the things we do, and what you can do to help the turtles. So before me here, I have a green sea turtle. Now, green sea turtles get to be about 500 pounds, 3.5, 4 feet long. They're not actually green on the outside, they're actually green on the inside. So due to their diet of seagrass and algae, it gives them a very green fatty tissue. They're actually known for their green meat instead. And I'm sure some of you people have read the book Green Eggs and Ham. So what color is the ham? Green. Turtle meat is actually green. Sailors that would travel in the ocean would round up these green sea turtles and throw them on board their ships on their backs. When a sea turtle's upside down, it cannot right itself, and they can stay out of the water for a long period of time. They used to provide the sailors with fresh meat. Here in the Keys, we had a turtle cannery. They actually used to can that turtle meat for stews and soups. But in 1973, they passed the Endangered Species Act. You can no longer harvest the sea turtles for their meat, shell, eggs, or leather. Other countries, though, they eat their eggs, just like we eat chicken eggs here in the States. So Jessica here came to us in March of this year. She came in with something called fibropapilloma tumors. And what it is, these turtles are so little. Somewhere between a toddler and a teenager, they don't really have an immune system built up yet. So when they start feeding in toxic grass beds and swimming in toxic water, it breaks down their immune system and they break out into this herpes-like virus. It's called a fibropapilloma tumor. It grows in a cauliflower shape around their eyes, they can't see, mouths they can't eat, and flippers they can't swim. Luckily for them, we're one of the first hospitals to start doing laser surgery. We actually use a CO2 laser, and each turtle can go through numerous surgeries. And so Jessica here is now tumor free, but she has to work on building up her immune system and put on some weight. And now out in the ocean, they usually eat the grass and algae, but here we feed them romaine lettuce, peppers, squid, cucumbers, and fish. Try to give them a healthy diet to build up that immune system. The other funny thing about Jessica is Jessica's a boy. So when you decide to name a turtle a boy or girl name, you actually have a 50-50 chance of getting it to match. And the only way you can tell once they're over the age of 25, adult males have really thick fat tails that go past their shell or carapace, and females have itty bitty little tails. We do know what most of these little green juveniles are. When they have those tumors on them, we have to do an endoscope. We have to go inside of them and make sure there are no internal tumors. We're in there, we usually find out what their gender is as well. We will not do an invasive scope just to find out their gender for the sea turtle. Sometimes we actually never know. Over here, I got gingerbread. And she was a really rough case when she came in. She didn't want to eat. We actually went out and pulled up grass beds for her. And she didn't want to swim. She was covered in the tumors. She's one of my what I call beast the beauty stories. So I'm going to show you kind of what she looked like when she came in. So if you look at her picture there, she was all covered in algae, and you can see the nasty tumors around her eyes and flippers there. She has now been tumor free for a while. And the funny thing about her name is the people who rescue them are actually the ones who name them. We usually don't name the turtles, it's the people that rescue them that do. But she's doing really good. And Torty over here, too. Over 10% of her body weight was in tumors when she came in. So if we're dumping up, like I said, pesticides, fertilizers, oil spills, all that chemical breaks down their immune system and breaks out into the virus. These tanks are kind of like what we call their own personal hospital bed. Most of them are going through different stages of care, and then they'll go to stage two. Now, Sunny here was also attacked by a shark. You can kind of see that bite mark out of the back and the side of them there. Sometimes sharks won't eat the whole turtle. They'll take a snack, flip her here, flip her there, save the turtle for another day. But guess how the turtles protect themselves from sharks? Because sea turtles, they can't pull their heads or flippers inside their shell. So see that shell? They use it like a teenage mutant ninja turtle shield. They'll actually put that shell right up to the shark's mouth, using it like a shield so they can't get a bite of it. So they'll have what we call rake lines all over their shell sometimes. But Sunny's very lucky. Got away. Now the wounds, like you and I get a cut, you'll wash it with soap and water. You'll put antibiotic ointment on it and you cover the band-aid. Well, one of the things we use for antiseptic around here, you'll never guess, it's something that bees make that you eat. It's honey. Honey's actually an all natural antiseptic. You can use it on yourself. If it's a deep wound, sometimes we'll pack a raw honeycomb. We also use a lot of meta honey. We have some wonderful beekeepers who keep us very well stocked. Now, as far as a band aid to fix a broken shell, one of the craziest things we use here is something you find in a nail salon. It's called acrylic. And you know why they can use acrylic on their shell? Is because their shell is made of the same thing your fingernail is, which is keratin. And so ladies that use acrylic on their nails, we can actually use it on their shell too. We've also used denture adhesive and marine epoxy and hooves glue. It's not made of horses, but horses' hooves are made of keratin. Same stuff your fingernail is, and same stuff their shell is. So the top part of their shell is called the carapace. The underneath side is called plastron, and each one of those individual sections are called scutes. And so when they're going through a growth spurt, kind of like Torty is right now, you'll notice those scutes are outlined white and blotchy. Out in the wild, you'd see fish picking at their shell. Fish want a free meal. They want the worms, the leech eggs that want to get in and around those scutes. It'd be like you and I getting something underneath your fingernail. Well, that would drive you crazy. It drives them crazy too. They'll often scratch your shells on corals and rocks, just like we use a nail file. We don't have corals and rocks in the tank for them to scratch themselves on. So we built up all those PVC enrichment toys, and you just saw Torty, or not Torty, there, excuse me, Chief there, scratching your shell on that white post there. It's fun watching them do it. But that's what they use it for. They scratch your shell. Let's see if she'll do it again. You just never know. But we do have a lot more turtles to go see, so we're gonna see a few more of them around here. And it is actually feeding time. Spook now, I want to point out Spook though. He's got a bit of jewelry on the back of his flipper there. You see that? That's called a flipper tag. And so this way, when we release them, it has letters and numbers on one side. The other side says reward to the biology department of. This way, if he's ever found again, we could run the numbers on his flipper tag and find out where he was. They also get something called a pit tag. It's kind of like the same chip you put in your cats and dogs. And this way you could run it. And if they're ever found again, you could run those numbers and find out where they were. But every year we fit a turtle with a satellite tracker. That turtle enters a race against other turtles. It's actually called Tour de Turtles, like Tour de France, the bicycle race. And you can actually go online yourselves and track the turtles through tourdeturtles.org. But unfortunately, ours are not very exciting. We've actually gotten last place in the race 4 times now. So, but the leatherback started on June 16th. And then I got two left here. So this is the biggest thing we see here is these little green juveniles with the tumors on them. And they go through the multiple stages of tumor removal. And I got JT there, who's now tumor free as well. A lot of our turtles out here, we have what's called our main pool, and we do programs every day so people come on it. And this pool was actually the original swimming pool that was built with our hospital, which is now a motel, back in the 50s. It used to be a hidden harbor motel. Guests would come, stay at the motel, and that's what funded the hospital. After that, we could not maintain it as a motel. We had a hurricane that wiped it out too, and so now it's just strictly a hospital. But he used to stock this with all different kinds of fish, so the guests staying at the hotel could snorkel with the fish. And the kids would ask Mr. Brady, "Hey, dude, where's all the turtles?" Because back in the 80s is when the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles were born. He thought that'd be really cool to have a turtle here. Found out you can't because they're an endangered species. But he also found out there's a great need to help sick and injured turtles of the Keys. So by obtaining a permit through Florida Fish and Wildlife and having a local veterinarian nearby, he was able to turn this into a rehabilitation center and from there into a full-blown hospital. We are the first hospital. We're the largest hospital. Now, the fish he put in here died off throughout the years. The fish in here now, they actually come in through the tubes. That white spot right there, it is connected to the ocean. The water rises and falls with the tide, and the fish come in when they're itty bitty. There's no real predators in here for the fish. So the fish get really big, they have a bunch of baby fish, and then we got to fish the fish out and throw them back in the ocean. And this huge one here is Hanson Bowie. She is our largest turtle here. And actually, she's having a very huge debate tomorrow because tomorrow she's going to become one of our adoptable turtles here. Now, she actually was here in 1994 as a hatchling. She was here from 1994 to 1997. She was under a fibropapilloma tumor study and released in November of 97, and she weighed 35 pounds. Well, you can guess she does not weigh 35 pounds anymore. This June, she's been with us 5 years ago when she was rescued again for the second time. And we were just shocked to have her here. But she's now over 350 pounds. But it's nice to see her without the tumors. Usually as an adult, they don't have the tumors. They built up the immune system. But you can see something hit her in the back, so now she has bubble butt syndrome. And what it is the bubble butt syndrome. When a turtle's shell gets damaged and their spine is connected to the shell, sometimes they become paralyzed, meaning they can't move their back flippers. And so some of these turtles, you'll notice they have no control over the back flippers, and air gets trapped inside their shell or gases. And it's like putting a life jacket on. With a life jacket on, these turtles can't go back to the wild because they can't get down to forage for their food. So what we do from here is we attach those round things to their butt. Those are their lead weights. And there is no mathematical equation on how much lead weights to put on a bubble butt. It's trial and error. We'll attach Velcro strips to their shell. We'll put lead weights on Velcro. Once we find out how much lead weight and where to place them, then they'll be applied with a marine epoxy. But this way the lead's not touching their shell and it's not exposed in the water for the longer period of time. Poor Montel there, that big one right in the middle. Montel came to us in 2001. That turtle's had a lot of drama in its life. It only has half of a front flipper. Lost a flipper due to a shark attack, the other flipper due to fishing line. There's a notch in the side where it's hit by a boat, and Montel is missing an eye due to those tumors. But these turtles here that can't go back to the wild serve as another purpose for us. They're our blood donors. But it has to be species to species. They don't actually have AB blood types like we do, but we do a blood cross match. And so they do save the lives of other turtles around here. I got Sequoia there. That one right there in the middle, closest to the pole, I call her my juvenile delinquent. She gets in more trouble than the rest of the turtles. She's been in timeout 3 times. She likes to bite. She eats things she shouldn't eat, and then she gets her weight off of her shell and gives herself a case of gas. So, unfortunately, she's just one of the naughtier turtles in here. Most of the time, the green turtles get along pretty passive with one another. Now, that one in the middle right now, Coasty, with the squared off back end, was rescued by the Coast Guard back in 1999. But his bubble butt has actually stunted his growth. He has not grown at all since 99. So when you tell a turtle's age, it goes by the size of their shell and how much they weigh. They get put in a category of a hatchling, post-hatchling, juvenile, subadult, or adult turtle. He's only the size of a juvenile, but his age, he'd be an adult turtle right about now. Now, the ones that can't go back to the wild, they also can go to another zoo or aquarium. We actually have turtles that came from our facility and other places and other aquariums all over the world. They can be an ambassador to their species. They just can't be returned back to the ocean. So, over here, I'm going to go around and see if I can find my loggerhead turtle. I got Sam there. Again, her name is Toby, though, but like I said, I call her my juvenile delinquent. She gets in trouble all the time. Has to go to timeout. But the bubble butt syndrome came from the first turtle we ever had here back in 1989, recorded with that air trapped inside of his shell. And so it's called the bubble butt syndrome. And every turtle after that, he was original bubble butt, though. This is Kent there. I want to grab a handful of food, and I want to see if I can show you how she eats. It's kind of funny to watch her eat. Let's see if I can get her to come over here. Come here, Kent. Watch your nose. If you notice, she squirts water out her nose. They all squirt water out their noses. She just does it very dramatically because she can. They don't need to drink all that salt water to become dehydrated, so when they take in their food, they expel the excess water out their noses. The other reason why I call Kent, who's a girl, my drama queen, is remember what green turtles like to eat? A lot of green stuff. But because of her, we're actually not allowed to wear green clothing in the pool of the tanks. And that's because if you do, she'll usually take a little bite of you. She thinks you're a tasty snack. Now, I do have a loggerhead in here, but the rest of them are all green turtles in this pool here. And like I said, most of them get along pretty well together. They just can't return back to the ocean, unfortunately. These other tanks are where we keep the smaller ones. They're covered so if a predator comes inside, they don't get attacked by it. So this is Cindy Luhu. She's a juvenile, or almost a juvenile loggerhead turtle. Something actually thought it was a chew toy. And all four of her flippers have been gnawed on, and she's got chunks out of her shell. Now, only 1 in 1,000 of these little guys will actually make it to adulthood. Birds, crabs, bayfish, sharks, raccoons, everything wants to eat them. And so they're just dinner on their dinner plate for something else. So hopefully Cindy Luhu will pass her swim test and go back out to the wild. Doing pretty good swimming so far. Just going to get some more exercise. But like I said, we do keep it covered because they're still quite little yet. So if a bird comes in or another predator wants like a raccoon, they can't get them and eat them to keep them safe. Down here I have two other juvenile loggerheads. And they have the letter M and C on their shell. We did a Facebook and Instagram name game, and their names are Mac and Cheese. They get to be our little ambassadors here. So they actually go on field trips. They go to schools, summer camps, outreach programs, the library, and festivals. And every year, usually one of them goes to church. They go to the blessing of the pets of the Catholic Church. But these little guys come to us throughout the summer. They get washed in by storms. And it doesn't only have to be a tropical storm or hurricane. We have gale force winds. They'll push these little guys into docks or beaches. And start out and need a boat captain to even ride back out there. And May 1st, October 31st, lights out on the beach. Turtles dig in the dark. If they see artificial light, they tend to go toward that light. And they end up in swimming pools and parking lots, a place they shouldn't. So you might see red lights up and down our beaches. That is the color they filter out. When these guys are 2 years old, they'll be about 2 feet long. They'll have a healthy immune system. And the only predator they'll have to worry about that size are sharks. And so they'll go back in about 2 years. But in the meantime, they just get to go on field trips. But the biggest hurdle that these young ones have is the first 2 years of life, they live at what's called the sargasso seaweed patches. These big floating patches of sargassum. And that's where they live. But unfortunately, that sargassum is now their trash dump. Everything of trash floating in the ocean has to stop when it hits something. It's a sargasso breaks down into smaller pieces of trash. A lot of those babies don't make it because of all the trash that they eat, unfortunately. If they can fit it in their mouth, they'll eat it. Now the temperature, look at, he's trying to eat the string right now. Let it go. Let it go. Oh, come on. Let it go. Don't be naughty. Please let it go. Okay. So he's can get entangled in that though. And this is the funny part where they're like toddlers. If they can fit in the mouth, you saw that. He'll try to eat it. Got to get the string out. That's why the screen's a little shaky at the moment. Sorry about that. But yeah, if they can put it in their mouth, they will eat anything. That gets them in a whole lot of trouble. Now over here, I have another loggerhead turtle. Hopefully she'll come up for you. You can see her down there, and one in the middle there. Loggerheads tend to be our biggest problem here. Loggerheads are territorial and aggressive. You cannot put two loggerheads together. But loggerheads get to be about 450 pounds, 3.5 feet long, and they actually look like a log when they're in the water. And boaters used to think it was a log floating, and so they'd be like, hey, there's a log in the water, a log in the water. And then they pop their big old head out of the water, and they realize that's not a log, it's a turtle, so they called it a loggerhead. They eat hard shell vertebrates. They like their lobsters and crabs and horseshoe crabs, and they even chomp through conch shells. Conch shells are very, very hard. They have a very powerful jaw. Their bite force is almost the same as a great white shark. For having such a very large head, they have a tiny little brain. Their brain is only the size of your thumb. That's it. So it's a tiny little brain there. And her name is Little Fat Brianna, but we didn't name her that. She does not like anybody. We have tried her with other turtles. And so she has to be like in a permanent timeout by herself because she doesn't like, well, she doesn't like anybody in her personal space, but she also doesn't like to be alone. I know that's kind of funny. But she was supposed to go to London and COVID hit, so she's still stuck with us too, to an aquarium over there. And Lily over there came in a little over a year ago, year and a half ago now. The two of them have been going at it through the fence too. She's not very nice. She doesn't like anybody, but she is beautiful. She likes having her shell scrubbed. I can stand up here and scrub her with a scrub brush, and she loves it. But if you try to get in her pool or her section of the tank, she'll try to bite you. She is not very nice at all. But she was hit by a boat, paralyzed, and has that bubble butt syndrome as well, and also has the lead weights on her shell. And now the green turtles, going back to them again with the tumors on them. It's kind of funny here because I'm going to tell you about something else. I kind of got to rotate because the groups are coming through. And so the green turtles, when they come to us with all these lovely tumors on them, you can see Jessica there. When their eyes are covered, it makes like a very sad and depressed turtle. They don't want to swim because they can't see where they're going, and they don't want to eat. They have a very good sense of smell. They don't feel like eating. Just by removing the tumors from their eyes, it'll perk up their personality. They'll actually start swimming and eating the next day. But our turtles, they actually go see what's called a veterinarian ophthalmologist. That's a fancy word for the animal eye doctor. She'll remove the tumors from their eyes and put them on cancer eye drops. Twice a day, they'll get taken out of the tank for eye drops, and twice a month, we can pile up the 7 turtles in the ambulance, and they all get to go on a field trip to Miami to the eye doctor. You have to have one fully good working eye in order to return back to the ocean. And then you'll notice their names are on their shells. Well, here at our hospital, we actually don't have a CAT scan machine. And so they get to go on another field trip to the people hospital. But the nurses can't say to the patient, well, hey, dude, what's your name? So we write the names on the shelves for nurses there. They pop them through the CAT scan machine for us. But Jessica's doing very well. But I have a very special treat for you today. Our brand new turtle that was admitted this morning. And he's very, very tiny. It's actually a little hatchling that just came in this morning. And there's a good chance it hatched from one of our beaches because I found a couple of them the other day. I also do the nesting beaches here in Marathon. That's actually my second turtle job. And so you see how tiny he is. He's just a little baby. Now, it usually takes about 50 to 60 days for a nest to hatch. 3 days after the nest hatches, nesting surveyors and park rangers will go out, open that nest, and count the eggs. Well, sometimes you find little babies in that nest stuck under roots. They just didn't make it out. They also get washed in by storms. We did have some bad storms last week. I actually found 2 babies in a condo, and we found one in a swimming pool. I think they were just blown back in by the storms. And sometimes birds will like to wash their food before they eat it in swimming pools. And so sometimes they'll take these babies and try to wash the sand all off of them in the swimming pools. But this little guy was found today, not where he should have been. So he came here, probably exhausted from some storms and swimming. But he is just so very, very tiny. One of the ways they protect themselves, though, is as they're swimming out the Sargasso, they put their flippers on their back. They rest those flippers on their backside. What that does is it makes them look like a leaf floating in the water. So if there's a bird flying overhead, they kind of look like a leaf floating in the water. And he'll stay with us a couple days to maybe a couple weeks, and this little guy will head back to the ocean. We'll wish him a happy farewell and happy swimming time. All right. And that's happy hatching.
Thank you, Chrissy, for such a great tour. Now, if you have just a couple of more minutes, we are going to take some questions from our lovely audience members. So if you haven't already, go ahead and type in the chat some questions that you would like answered by Chrissy. All right, our
What
first
should I
question.
do if I see an
Yes,
injured
what
turtle? Okay.
should we do if we see an injured turtle?
So the first thing you want to do is call your local facility. Here, when they call the turtle hospital, the first thing we're going to ask them is, can you get that turtle on board your boat, dock, or marina? Because by the time we get out there, it could swim away, it could drown, or it could be attacked by predators. So we'll usually ask them if they can get it with them. If they can't, because they're on a boat where the turtle's too big, we'll actually ask them to stay with the turtle until we can get there. Now, if you hook a turtle on a fishing hook, we just ask that you try to not cut the line, reel that turtle in so we can get it to a facility and remove that fishing hook. Because sometimes those fishing hooks will rust.
All right, our next question is, does the turtle hospital track the turtles they release?
So only if they're ever found again do we find those turtles. But like I said, every year we enter a turtle in a race. It's called Tour de Turtles. They're trying to decide which turtle. We'll be having one probably going in the water on July 15th with a satellite tracker. And the race starts on August 1st. And you can track those turtles through tourdeturtles.org and see where they go.
All right, someone wants to know if we have named the baby turtle on the screen right now, the one that arrived today.
No, we actually don't name the babies. The only time we ever name a baby is if it has to have medical care. Like if it's missing a flipper due to a predator attack, or if it looks really sick and we have to give it fluids and stuff, we will give it a name because we have to put a name with a medical file. But most of the time, the babies will be here a couple days just to get a little bit of rest and food, and then they'll get a boat captain to give them a ride out to the Sargassos.
All right,
Sorry.
our next question is there a way to repair injured flippers?
No, unfortunately, once they lose it, it's not like a lizard that something grows back. And so most of the time they could survive if they have 3 flippers or a little bit less out in the wild. As long as they pass our swim test, they are good to go. And there's no way to do prosthetics because salt water deteriorates everything. And even prosthetics can create abrasions on their skin.
All right, Andy would like to know, how can you untangle a string that is stuck on a turtle?
All right, so entangling it could be good and it could also be very, very bad. And the reason I say that is if there's an entanglement around a turtle, and say that turtle flipper is really swollen, well, if you take that string off and all that dead bad blood is dead in there, it goes back in their system and makes them what we call very septic and makes them very ill. So we always ask that you never take the string off if the flipper is swollen. To try to get it to a facility instead. And then we'll actually use sometimes freshwater leeches to help bring the swelling down because you just can't ice a turtle swollen flipper. So we'll use freshwater leeches to help get circulation going and help drain some of that bad blood that's in their flippers.
All right, someone else would like to know, why do mother turtles leave their eggs?
Well, mother turtles lay so many eggs. They actually lay 4 to 7 nests a year. And then they 2 years old. So she can have 700 babies or more. And so that's a lot of babies to care for. And from the time that the babies are born, they already know everything they need to know to survive in the wild. So they actually don't need mama to train them on how to do anything.
Someone would like to know how old the newest arrival is.
So I am suspecting that this one might be one of the ones because where it was found, that hatched out of my nest on my beach on Sunday. So it could be like 4 days old.
All right, someone else would like to know how long can turtles live?
80 to 100 years for certain species.
Wow. All right, Nadia would like to know how many turtles are in your care?
Well, this little guy makes 41.
Wow. Is that a normal number? Does it usually stay in that range or does it fluctuate a lot?
We lost 6 of them last week, so we were like
Okay.
46 last week. We can go anywhere from 50 to 80 usually on average.
What is the most common surgery for turtles?
Tumor removal,
Hmm.
taking those tumors off. And they can't have them all off at one time because the turtles would have no skin left. So you have to go through multiple stages of tumor removal, and they're so little. It just takes a long time.
All right, Andy would like to know how can we help baby turtles?
So to reduce, reuse, and recycle. Whenever you see litter on the ground, always pick it up. Because that litter is going to run into the water streams going through the grates and stuff in the streets, runs down to other streams, and runs right down to the end of the line. We're at the end of the line here in Florida. There is, it's only ocean after us for a while till Cuba, which is 90 miles. And so, all that trash that goes into the ocean, these guys will eat it if they can get it in their mouth. They will eat anything. People reduce, let balloons go. Well, a balloon in the water looked like jellyfish. All species of sea turtle actually eat jellyfish. Jellyfish is like 90% water, so they get a lot of water from jellyfish.
All right, it looks like we have time for one more question. Lindsay is asking, why are turtles attached to light?
So they're attracted to the light because when they first head out of the stand at nighttime, the brightest color they should see, even in the darkest night, is things in the ocean. You'll have bioluminescence in the ocean. You'll have the moon on the ocean a lot of times. You'll also have the surf. So it makes a lot of white foam when it crashes. And even in the darkest night, you can still see the waves crashing on the beach. So if they see artificial light, they tend to go toward that bright light. And they go in the wrong direction and end up at swimming pools and parking lots and places they shouldn't.
All right. Thank you, Chrissy, so much for giving us such a wonderful tour. Thank you for spending time with us today.
Well, thank you for having me, and I hope you all have a turtly awesome day.
Thank you, Chrissy.
Bye, guys.
All right, everybody, if you enjoyed learning so much about turtles from the Turtle Hospital today, please check out their website, which you will see on the screen down below. And I want to thank all of you for joining us today and to also remind you that we have fun live events just like this one scheduled every Thursday at 4 p.m. You won't want to miss next week when we will be joined by Mr. Richard. Mr. Richard is a talented artist who will entertain us with his original songs, his guitar, and his harmonica. Don't forget to keep on tracking your reading. Through Beanstack, I am rooting for each and every one of you to win some amazing prizes this summer. Also, if you have just a couple of minutes, please take a moment to fill out the survey that you will see on the screen here. These surveys are a great way to let us know what you like and what you would like to see more of in the future. Also, we would like to say a big, big, big thank you to Window World of Central Florida for sponsoring this summer's reading program. And I also want to say a big thank you to each and every one of you for joining us. Stick around for just a minute if you have it to get a sneak peek at some of the amazing prizes we'll be giving away this summer. And we hope to see you all next time. Goodbye.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to be the first to find out when we have new fun and informative videos for you. Orange County Library System is your place to learn, grow, connect.